Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Just Plain Living. I'm John Gray, and I'm proud to be here.
I'm proud to be here, too. Good morning. I'm Peggy Burton.
Good morning, Miss Peg. How you doing?
I'm okay. Still standing.
Still standing. You know what? You know what happened on Sunday?
Oh, my gosh, that was so long ago, but I know what happened at my house. I know, my flag was flying proudly.
It was Flag Day, and we are proud of our old flag. And all the things it represents.
The scouts were burning the old flags in the proper manner, and all that's so important. I hope everybody remembers that, don't you?
Well, you know, we had, and we have some video. We had a march in Tullahoma this weekend, and it was peaceful, and it was well presented and well done. A lot of that has been going on across our country. A lot of it has turned violent and volatile.
I'm proud of Tullahoma.
But
but we all
need to remember that no matter what goes on, and you know, this is the greatest country in the world to live in, and that flag represents that.
Absolutely. That makes me proud.
Yeah,
Every time I look
it's a beautiful red. Yeah. Look here, got red,
you're all
red, white, and blue.
I'm sorry.
And blue jeans. I've only
got old white.
Faded blue jeans. Yeah. I love blue jeans.
Blue jeans are, I don't know what we did before blue jeans. When did they come out? Was it the 50s?
Levi Strauss. Levi Strauss was a peddler back in the, I guess it was the mid-1800s. And he is the one who took denim, and he was the first one to use a metal rivet to hold them together.
Because it was
to
very
where they would
thick
last.
in the
where they would last. You know, and I watched the Pickers, the show, the American Pickers on history, and they will go and they will find old denim in some of these places. And I know they were at one farm that the work hands, you know, it'd been years since they'd had work hands working the farm, and they went in one of the shacks, and there were denim, old jeans still there with holes in them and everything, and they sent them to Imogene and Willie's, which is a little store back behind Belmont in Nashville, which is a blue jean manufacturing specialty blue jean place.
And they have them tested or something?
Well, yeah, this guy's a blue jean aficionado. He knows the history.
Yeah.
There was a pair of blue jeans that was a specific Levi that had holes torn in them and everything. They were worth $2,800.
Oh, my gosh.
To a denim collector.
Oh, my goodness.
So if you have old denim or old work clothes, you never know what they might be worth.
It's interesting what some people prize or what they find value in. You know, I would have probably
they're collectors.
Thrown them away, and I know a couple of collectors, and they get so excited about finding something like that if that's what they like.
Yeah. Did you ever have a pair of pants or slacks? Because I know men did. I know I did, and I think women did too. With a strap, a buckle on the back that had a regular buckle like you'd buckle a belt.
So you could tighten it.
cinch them up.
Yeah.
On the back.
That's
I remember when I was a kid, I had some
back.
of those. Yeah, that's way back.
Keep the pants up.
Yeah. Oh,
However,
Lordy.
we see some people with their pants down to their knees, and
because they can't get them over their belly.
Yeah.
They want to go, okay, I wear 32 pairs of pants. Of course, that belly up above your pant waist is
take it all
46.
The way down, Oh, my goodness.
So you okay? You doing good?
I am. It's Father's Day this weekend. Are you?
Is that this weekend?
I think.
I don't.
Y'all, is it? Yeah. I thought so. So
I are one.
You are one, and you deserve some big deal. Maybe Jacob and Cindy will.
We don't big deal much anymore.
Everything's a big deal.
It is.
If I live through it, it's a big deal.
It is. We were out at Jacob and Cindy's house last weekend and had a meal and had a really good time. So they're wide open.
They're a special couple.
They're wide
they
open.
Really are.
They're doing something all the time.
Always busy. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Her ministry's going well, and Jack Daniels is where Jacob works is sort of thinking about re-engaging in what they do as far as tours. He's a tour guide.
That made me think of Randy, that's coming on the show, that's a songwriter.
Today?
Yeah, I don't know if he'll sing this song or not, but one of his songs was Grandma and Jack, so Jacob and Cindy could have the preacher and Jack.
Preacher and Jack, huh? Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. So we hope everybody's been safe and sound out there. The country show is, when are we going to start practicing?
Well, it'll
when's the show going to be, the show dates?
Gosh, I think it's 12, 13, 14, but it could be 14, 15, 16. It's that
right
week.
That
right
week.
there about sometime. We are practicing in such a different manner this year. You know, we're trying to keep social distancing, and so rehearsals will start right after the 4th of July. And they'll be in blocks. Like if you're in a commercial, you'll come and practice that commercial in one place, and another commercial in another place. We'll spread it all over the place to keep from people having a lot of contact with each other.
It won't be as much kissing and hugging
no
as there usually is.
No kissing, no hugging,
that's one of the things. We've done this show for 40 years, and that's one of the great things about it, is it's like a reunion every year for all the people who do the show.
It is.
Because you don't see some of these people but once a year. During South Jackson time.
And this year I'm calling myself production consultant. Samantha Waters is directing. She's doing a great job. I love what she's doing.
She's brilliant.
And she will follow through.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
So she's far more adept at technology than I am, and she's, doing a lot of work through the internet. We'll do some Zooming, we'll do different things, and I will be around, and I will help and give ideas, but I won't be doing the hard work.
When 3 months ago, did you have a clue what Zoom meant other than to get a close-up picture on a camera?
Not much. My daughter-in-law called and said, we're going to do a Zoom meeting, and I had to write back, well, what are you talking about? So
yeah.
And now it's just an everyday thing.
Zoom's an everyday thing.
It's an everyday thing, and I think we have to recognize that we're living in a different era, and
it will continue.
It will continue, and things will move on. But still, we need to remember the value of the sun and the moon and the beautiful countryside.
Oh yeah, well that's one place you can go, and not be affected by anybody.
Yeah.
Is go visit the parks. Did you see the piece where a gentleman hid a treasure in one of the national parks or the park system?
I did not.
He was an avid lover of state and national parks, so he, in all these shows, the Treasure of Oak Island and German war treasure and Japanese war treasure, and all these people are hunting treasure, and it's a really hot item now. He made a list of clues and hid a treasure in one of the parks.
That's cool.
10 years ago, I think it was.
Has it ever been found?
And they just found it recently, but what it's done is it has caused thousands and thousands and thousands of people to go through these parks, and the treasure is not. But it was gold coins and rubies, and it was a couple of $1 million worth of stuff. Wow. But it was nothing compared to the treasure these folks got by going through the park systems.
Park system,
and that's what he did it for. And I just think that's wonderful.
Thank God we have our parks. Or otherwise there'd be a house on every square foot.
Or going fishing.
Oh yeah.
Did you fish when you were a kid?
No.
Did you go to the river and fish?
Well, I would go with Daddy, and he sometimes. I wasn't much of a fisherman. I would just go because I wanted to wade the creek.
Well, yeah.
But I love the fish. We had fish for dinner a lot.
But wading the creek was wonderful.
Oh,
How wonderful was that?
I used to
on a hot summer
spend
evening.
Entire days in the creek.
Oh, yeah.
watching a black snake that was over to the side. I
Did
keep my
y'all
eye
eat
on it.
creases?
I don't know what that is.
That's the little sort of a green thing that grows in small creeks and stuff that sort of like greens. They used to pick creases and put them in salads and
Crescents?
Creases,
No,
yeah.
I don't, that's not
it's
familiar
not
to
something
me.
for you, not something familiar for
Maybe
you.
we didn't have it. I mean, we ate poke salad. Did you ever eat poke salad?
I'm not a poke salad eater. They
like-
say if you put eggs with it, it's better,
Yeah,
but I
my
don't care.
mother did that, and I'm sure it's healthy because I eat eggs with spinach a lot,
Yeah,
and that's healthy.
yeah. But if
so-
you don't cook poke salad right, won't it kill you?
Probably.
Pretty strong
It's
stuff.
like the mushrooms, you know, you
Pretty
got to be
strong
careful when you
stuff.
go out picking mushrooms.
I had mushrooms last night. You know, it's funny. When I was a kid, I wouldn't eat a mushroom for anything in the
Really?
world. Not just a kid. When I was 20 some odd years old, 25, after Fran and I were married, Kenny and Janie Pack got married a month before we did. And Kenny was, through life, was and still is one of my best friends.
Yeah.
We became friends when I was 2 and he was 3
Oh my goodness.
on Druid Lane. And we're still friends, and love you, guy. He's one of my best buddies alive.
It's real special to keep a friend that long.
Oh yeah. But Janie would make spaghetti with mushrooms in it, and at 25 years old, I would pick the mushrooms out of the spaghetti.
Have you quit doing that?
Now you can bring me a tub of mushrooms that big and give
And
me a
you'll eat 'em.
skillet to wilt them, and I'll eat 2 pounds of mushrooms just by
Yeah,
themselves.
they're good for
Love
you.
them.
I'm not sure how you tell the deadly ones from the ones that are edible.
The deadly ones aren't in the grocery store.
Oh, well, that's good. So
I'm not going out
don't
picking
go out in the
mushrooms.
woods and pick mushrooms, but I know people that do, and they just
Oh,
happen
yeah.
to know which ones to look for.
The hobbits knew the good
The hobbits
mushrooms.
knew all about
They
it.
knew all about mushrooms.
Yeah.
I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to get on out of this part right here. We've got some great stuff going on today on the show. Like I said, we'll have some video from the march. Peggy has a
I have a songwriter coming. I
coming
have
in.
some mental health people coming.
I need them.
We all do.
And I've got something special that I wrote that I'll read for you a little bit later on. But right now, we'll take a quick commercial break and be back with more Just Plain Living.
Hello, I'm Ray Noes. This is a critical time in Tullahoma. On August the 6th, voters will have an opportunity to elect a new mayor, one who can provide proven, experienced leadership, one who knows how to get things done and keep Tullahoma moving. I recognize the value of Tullahoma's excellent school system. Our system is recognized as one of the best in the state, and I'll ensure that our schools continue at that level. I will not vote to raise property taxes in order to have a balanced budget until all other options have been exhausted. I'll work closely with our city staff to ensure that my fiscally conservative values are incorporated. Now, I've served on all city boards involved in economic development. I see that as a way that we can broaden our tax base and avoid a property tax rate increase. Some developers have had issues with our planning and codes department. I'll commit to these improvements. There'll be consistency in the instructions from planning and codes without changes from day to day. And there'll be predictable timelines for providing delivery dates for plan reviews, permits, and inspections. Timelines that will be met reliably. Now, while we can't do much about the traffic on 41A and 55, we can improve our local streets and sidewalks. And this I commit to do. So I ask for your vote for proven, experienced leadership.
You made the time and the sacrifice to broaden their horizons, to see their smiles, but mostly to make lifelong memories. We think it's time to do it again, just the two of you. Don't let illness or injury slow you down. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live well.
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we, as I said earlier, we had a march in Tullahoma this weekend, and it was a very peaceful, wonderfully done thing. It went from CD Stamps to City Hall and back to CD Stamps, and we got some video. Philip and Andrew were over there checking that out, and we're proud of our town. We're proud of the people here who did this and pulled it off in a loving and peaceful manner, and in a way that it is supposed to be done without any volatile things happening. So congratulations. Here's the video.
I'm speaking with Gwen Carr, who's one of the organizers of today's event. And Gwen, very, very moving afternoon today, right?
Yes, it was. Thank you. Yeah, it was beautiful.
I think everything went very well, very peaceful, and a lot of things came to light that we needed to talk about. And I think that's kind of the point of this, is that?
Yes, there was information that people needed to hear, and it was easy information that came out, and I hope there's coverage.
Yeah. And I believe a lot of positive can come from this. Unfortunately, sometimes it takes a negative to get a lot of positive done. But I think this was a success.
It was.
And I know you put a lot of work into this too, and we really appreciate it. Again, how do you feel it went?
I feel great about it, and the police department was very helpful.
Absolutely.
And the fire department was here with us.
Yes, yes.
So it was nice and harmonious and unified. We had about 300 people. People got out of their cars on the side of the road and joined us.
And like you said, it's all about creating a dialogue and discussing. Instead of yelling at each other, let's talk to each other, right? Isn't that kind of what the point was? Yeah. Well, Gwen, again, thank you for everything you did to help put this on. And hopefully we can get a lot of positive things out of this.
We will. There'll be more of us in the future.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you.
You will join me as we pray together as a community. Holy God, we always ask that you come to be with us. Your children have gathered. We ask you to hear us as we sing, as we speak. Hear the voices that are raised, calling for peace. Today, especially what we're asking for is something that is miraculous. To end the systemic racism that has plagued us for too long. We're asking you to come and to release us from the slavery that has captured us all. That slavery of racism that puts a knee to our black brothers and sisters. That white privilege that has enslaved our white brothers and sisters, so that we cannot see the injustice that is here. We ask you, oh God, to come into this community, and not just to help us to hear the voices of protest, but also that our police, that our leaders in this community will see clearly, will bring justice to this community, will break down the laws, the rules, the ways in which we have been treated separately and wrongly. Help us, O God, to be a people together. Help us to once again walk with respect and dignity together. Unite us, O God, as one people, your children. Help us to hear the voices of those who no longer can speak. Help us to breathe for those who cannot breathe. Help us to bring new life to this community and this nation. Finally bringing what we have wanted for so long, a truly united state. Help us, O God, come. Bring your Spirit, we ask, in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, we gotta get back at the front. So let's get up here with Royce.
I got one next to my car.
Okay, put it on.
Every time I do that, whenever I open my eyes, everything is weird.
They're gonna be back up front.
Before we head back, I think it's important we have a real honest conversation. There's a reason why we came to City Hall. When those people take on those jobs to put the best interests of their constituents, then it is our obligation to hold them accountable. Right. When we are in pain, when we are hurt, and we fall on deaf ears, we cry. And when we're not heard, we cry louder and louder. And for those who are hearing a lot of the news of what I consider the nation's uprising, because there is a nation's uprising, it's about looking in the mirror. It's about saying, how do I contribute to the atmosphere of today? To everyone, to my white counterparts, this is for you. I don't expect to hold any of you accountable for what your ancestors did 400 years ago. However, I will hold you accountable as my fellow community member if you stand by and turn the other cheek while you see me and my sister oppressed, plundered, and murdered. Murdered. There is no other way to put it. You know, they have a saying that rioting is the language of the unheard. Please listen to us. Listen to us. Take a step back. Acknowledge your privilege as a white citizen in this country. Acknowledge the privilege in your education. Acknowledge your privilege in healthcare. Acknowledge your privilege when it comes to indiscriminate policing. And it doesn't just happen in New York. It doesn't just happen in Charleston, South Carolina.
Say that, brother.
It happens here. And until we realize that, we will not change for the better. And I don't know about you, but I don't just occupy space.
Right.
I am present.
Right.
And I'm present not for just me, but for him, definitely for her, definitely for him, and everyone that's around here. Now, as we go on these protests, by any means, I am not endorsing looting and rioting. I am endorsing honest conversations. Candid conversations. Right?
Yes.
It's going to be a little uncomfortable.
Right. Yes.
Right? But us black folk been uncomfortable for 400 years. 1619, the first 20 documented, first 20 black individuals came across the Atlantic Sea, the Atlantic Ocean, and landed in Fort Comfort, Virginia. In 1619. And today, we are still bound by those chains. Now, those chains may change in what they look like.
Right.
You may call them slavery. You may call them Jim Crow.
Right.
You may call them the 13th Amendment.
All right. All right.
But whatever the case, it's the same thing. Black and brown bodies oppressed.
Yes.
And we need you, my white brethren and sisters. We need you to stand 10 toes down. Not for you, for us.
Right.
Because we do the same for y'all.
Here at Manchester Funeral Home, we know the importance of living and working in our local community because it's those families who we serve during their time of need honorably. We believe in supporting local business and offer only 100% Batesville caskets, the best in the industry and a driver of our local economy. If you want straightforward and fair pricing while working with the people you know, choose Manchester Funeral Home, serving your community since 1932. And pre-planning and pre-funding can be the best gift you ever leave your loved ones. Call us to pre-arrange. Manchester Funeral Home. Our family caring for your family since 1932.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
How long has it been since you raced a cheetah? Are your tornado creating skills getting rusty? Tired of being the only one in your neighborhood who hasn't built a dinosaur? Sounds like it's time to visit the Hands-On Science Center. The Hands-On Science Center is an indoor science playground. In this museum, please touch is the rule. Join us for weekly science demonstrations on space, lasers, lizards, rocks, and a whole lot more. No two visits are ever the same, so visit often to see our ever-changing exhibits and demonstrations. The Hands-On Science Center, 101 Mitchell Boulevard in Tullahoma.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Welcome back. I was just sitting here wondering, why are you guys here? This is Pam on the end, and this is Brenda. And they're here with NAMI, the
National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Of mental illness. And I've invited them here today, one, because I love them and I love what they do. But I think in this pandemic and the way things are in our nation at the time, mental illness is probably on the rise.
Yes, it is.
And suicide.
Suicides,
and so
yes.
You all are finally back
We're
in
finally
person.
able, yes, we're finally able to have
and
in
you're
person.
still social distancing,
Yes.
I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm. So let's tell them real quick where you meet and when, so if anybody out there is interested.
NAMI Coffee and Franklin County meets in Manchester at the First Presbyterian Church. It's 1101 Jackson Street. It's right by Food Lion. You turn at the light by Food Lion. We meet the first Thursday of every month from 6:30 to 8:30.
And that's the church on the right, is it?
It's on the left. If you turn, it's on the
that's
left.
right.
It's on the left, yeah.
Behind the big church.
And we meet in the fellowship hall, and we social distance 6 feet.
And you meet at what time?
6:30.
6:30
until 8:30.
Until
from
8:30.
6:30 to 8:30.
And I've been there, and it's a wonderful organization, and I appreciate everything they do. The thing that I'm impressed with mostly, it's not just people with mental health conditions, but it's caretakers.
Yes, we have
and
two
people
different
that love them.
Right. We have two different classes. One is for those who are experiencing mental health conditions, and they meet in a different area.
They're called bridges.
It's called Bridges, and it's a big, long, I don't remember what Bridges even stands for, but we have a young lady that facilitates that class, and then while the caretakers and family members meet in a separate area.
Yeah.
So if you have someone who has a mental illness, you can both go, and you can both vent about each other
At the same
separately.
time,
Yes,
separately.
yes. Before we all met together, and it was difficult for the caretaker to
say what
to
was
say
really
what
on their
was
mind.
really
To
on
be
their
honest.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
To my knowledge, Alcoholics Anonymous is separated like that. The alcoholics are in
Right.
one room, and the
family members,
caretakers, and
well, NAMI was kind of when they were first formed. It's kind of based on the 12 steps. Kind of, I mean, we follow the same type.
and it's good.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very good, and I think it gives people a guideline to go by when you're stressed or whatever.
Yes,
So y'all give me a few techniques and a few things that are talked about in your part of it. You all are the caretakers, right?
Right.
So-
Self-care is the biggest thing.
Care.
Self-care.
Self-care.
Because if you don't care for yourself, you can't care for someone else.
And you have to be careful, I would assume, not to let them pull you down.
Sure.
Which is going to happen when
Sure.
you love somebody.
Unfortunately, when you have somebody in a bad place, you're usually in a bad place. It pulls you down, whether you want it to or not. It just does because you love them. But I use the analogy of a pitcher and a glass. Your loved one is the glass, and you keep their glass full, trying to fill them up. If you're not keeping your pitcher full by doing
By yours.
self-care, your pitcher's going to be empty and you have nothing to give them. When you go to fill their pitcher, you have nothing.
You have nothing left.
Right. So you have to do things for yourself. Get a pedicure, read a book,
Right.
walk
Go
in the
for a walk.
park.
Yeah,
Yes.
go
Get
for
on
a
the
walk.
lake.
Yes. Get
Water's
on the
neat.
do something for yourself.
Well, the bottom line for both sides of the issue, exercise is always
Yes.
important.
True.
And I know you talked about anxiety and deep breathing. Shall we demonstrate?
Sure.
I don't know how many people out there get anxiety, but I think in this climate, in this
Yes.
country,
Today they do.
or across the world, it's not just us, that anxiety is there.
And you can do this if you're sitting in your car in traffic and you're
Right.
frustrated,
Yeah.
or you
So,
can do this
here we
anywhere.
go.
Okay.
This is your diaphragm, and you all tell me what you tell them
we
to do.
we do it a little different than
That's
you
all right.
do.
That's I'm going by you.
We breathe in through your nose, take a deep breath, and as you breathe in, push your stomach out.
Right. Okay. Here we go. Breathe. I'll count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you hold your breath.
Hold your breath to 8,
For 8.
and then blow out, and blow out, and as you blow out, breathe out through your mouth.
And you try to totally relax.
And you try to totally relax and bring your stomach in.
There's a lot like that in vocal training and yoga.
Yes,
I think
yes.
A lot of people
Breathing in yoga.
Yoga
Yes.
is real good, I think,
Right, right.
for this issue.
But if you'll do that 4 or 5 times, you'll notice your shoulders relax.
Yeah.
The tension is less, and
So-
your
'cause you try not
anxiety.
to get into
right.
this Right.
Because your
mode.
shoulders, when you're tense, your shoulders are up under your earlobes, you know.
And then there's this thing about that we all do, I guess, sometimes wrinkle your brow
Yes.
because you're worried, and so you need to try to brighten your eyes. And open your eyes and clear your head, and sometimes it's hard to do.
And
but
I would also say, turn off that TV.
Oh yeah.
Because
If you listen to it today, you're going to get stressed.
It's going to
And you
stress
get
you.
I don't care
Yes.
which side you're on or where you are or what
There's
you
a
stand
lot of
for.
stress.
You're going to get
because
stressed.
it's constant. It's just
Yes,
constant.
it's all the
and I
time.
certainly believe in taking care of yourself and social distancing, and all those things are important. But when you just hear it hour after hour after hour, so I agree with you with that.
I don't even watch the news hardly anymore. I watch the weather, but I don't watch the
Well,
news.
since this pandemic came up, I've done a lot more reading.
Yes.
And I need to be careful what I read because
Right.
that can bring you
Yeah.
down.
But unfortunately, when a person is experiencing mental illness issues, sometimes they become obsessed with the news. My daughter
Right.
is having a hard time because she's obsessed with it, and she shares all this bad stuff.
And so that's all you hear,
Yes,
and,
and so she just bought a book on how to be more positive.
Oh, good.
And she's excited about it.
Do you know who
So-
wrote it?
No, I don't.
Okay, we'll find out.
There's a guy that does PPE yoga or something like PPE something yoga, and he wrote it. And so I bought her, for Christmas, I bought her this yoga thing for her to start doing yoga to help relax her.
And that's good. I think that's good for all of us.
Yes.
The stretching, the meditation, everything that goes with it.
Well, and the older we get too, we tend to glum up more. You know,
We're not as
We're not
flexible.
as flexible. Yeah, and so it's good for that too.
It's good for everything. About how many people do you find coming to your meetings?
Well, before the pandemic, we would have 20 to 25. Last month we had 11.
Well, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good,
you know,
yes.
They've been off for such a long time.
And, you know, we tell people if you'd like to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you feel more comfortable, we're not sharing refreshments. We don't have...
Yeah, you're not handling
stuff together. We sit 6 feet apart. We keep all the tables separated.
We used to have everybody sign in. Now she just signs them in.
I just sign them in.
You know,
if we have
and
someone
so-
new, they give me their information and I fill it in on the sign-in sheet.
Is it true that many people with mental health live normal lives?
Yes.
Well, I'll say normal. They have jobs and they can be totally functional in
Productive.
our society.
Yes.
But they have to work at it, I think.
They do.
Yes.
We just had a lady in our group who's been coming for about 4 years, and she had something called borderline personality disorder. And typically someone with borderline personality disorder never gets better.
Never gets better.
Never gets better.
They can function, but they never get better.
They never get better.
But she was determined
Good
to
for
get
her.
better, and her therapist has declared her healed.
That's awesome.
You know, she just
Oh,
moved
we
to
were so
Texas to
excited.
write a book on her experience.
And a lot of it was through your meetings.
A little bit.
And your
And therapy.
association.
That
and
She took a lot of therapy.
And she has a very strong faith.
Yes.
So that had a lot to do with it as well.
And she had to go through a lot of different therapists too.
to find the one that
Right,
helped
the
her
one
the
that
most.
helped her the most. And a lot of people don't understand that. They go see someone and, well, they didn't help me. Well, then that wasn't the right
that
one
was,
for
wasn't
you.
the right one. I
Uh-huh.
know because my son is military, my husband's military, they put in many, many years in the military. There's a lot that they need, PTSD and a lot of that kind of stuff when they get home. So all this works into
Oh,
the
sure.
NAMI
Sure.
Association,
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
And I would encourage anybody that knows anyone or having some issues with mental health would contact the group. And there's all you write down, and you can. Do we have a number?
We have a hotline number. It's 931.
But they can find it on this.
Yeah, I forgot it. My brain
Find it on the
just
website.
my brain just went.
Yeah. Well,
Of course,
real
you're on
quickly,
TV,
we're
so you
gonna-
forget.
we do
They're
have
going
a
to turn me
hotline
off.
number.
So give them the date. I mean, the time and date of the next meeting. It's or the date.
It's the first Thursday in July. I think it's the 6th, maybe.
Well, it doesn't matter. Just the first
But it's
Thursday.
the first Thursday in July
Okay.
at First Presbyterian Church, 1101 Jackson in Manchester, from 6:30 to 8:30.
You guys have got to come back more often.
Okay.
I love having you here. Thank you
Well,
so much.
Thank you.
And we would like to have some of our people maybe that
I'd
would
love
want
that.
to come and talk.
I would
So-
love that. We will
Sure.
be back with the next subject.
My great-grandfather started it in 1900, and now it's 2020, which is 120 years. We still measure your feet, still try to help you find a good fit. We're just a good old-fashioned shoe store where we'll measure your feet, make sure you're in the right size, and help you find a comfortable shoe for men, women, and children.
We're gonna fit your style. We're gonna make you smile. Service and quality at Clayton Shoe Store. We're gonna fit your style.
Ah, the glory days. Running to daylight on the gridiron and chasing a ball with a mind of its own. Cheering the team to victory and marching to the beat of your own drum. Memories that last a lifetime. But sometimes we're reminded of our glory days in ways we'd rather forget. Get back in the game The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live and play well.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Talking history about this and that. It's Conversations with John and Pat. With John and Pat. With John and Pat.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Rickman.
And this is Pat Welch, and we're here today for segment 53 of the Conversations with John and Pat. What you got, John?
Well, this little song I wrote a good ways ago. I don't know if I've done it in Tullahoma or ever out, but we're going to try it. I've been saved. I was lost, but Jesus found me, burdened down with guilt and sin. He lifted me up from my burden to a mountaintop where I had never been. I've been saved. I've been snatched from the fire. I've been saved by a higher power. Jesus came into my heart and made me whole. Now I know I'm right with Jesus in my soul. All of my life I'd heard about Jesus, how he bled and died on Calvary. I never knew till I met Jesus. Those precious drops of blood were shed for me. Now I've been saved. I've been snatched from the fire. I've been saved by a higher power. Jesus came into my heart and made me whole. Now I know I'm right with Jesus in my soul. One of these days I'll cross that river over to the other shore, and in that land I'll be with Jesus. There I shall dwell with him forevermore. Now I've been saved. I've been snatched from the fire. I've been saved by a higher power. Jesus came into my heart and made me whole. Now I know I'm right with Jesus in my soul. Now I know I'm right with Jesus in my soul.
All right, John.
That's fun.
It was. And you need to play that outside of Marshall County a little bit more often.
Well, you're right. I need to do that more often, I guess.
Yeah.
Never know how well it's accepted with. Sometimes you think, did I write that? Will it be received well? And I think that you can't get more basic.
Yeah.
Than that.
Is that, you intended that to be a segue for today's program, didn't you?
Yeah, because we're going to talk about a cemetery.
That's right. We have noted several times that both you and I may have a little bit of a morbid affinity to old cemeteries. We like to go into old cemeteries and glean the history from it and kind of figure out who's in there and how they got there and that kind of thing. And we also like old churches. And I travel into the Knoxville area, calling on lumber yards every other week. And so every other week, I travel a highway, I believe it's 411. It's a state highway that's a 2-lane out in the country. And between Seymour and Maryville, I started passing this really pretty old brick church where they had a cemetery in the front. And from the front of the church, you can see the Smokies. It's a really picturesque place. Yeah. And the name, I finally, after passing it 4 or 5 times, I couldn't stand it any longer. I got a little bit ahead time-wise one day and pulled off. And the name of the church is Eusebia Presbyterian Church. And that area was at least one time was called Eusebia. and it had basically it was Tennessee Frontiers people that would have come from North Carolina. A lot of them were descendants or directly had fought in the Revolutionary War and got these land grant rewards for their service, and that they would have gone to North Carolina and then immigrated or moved through the mountains to East Tennessee. There were about 40 families that were mostly Scotch-Irish that settled in that area. And let's see here, I may have got to go to my notes, John. The first Presbyterian preacher who preached there, and I believe the Presbyterian faith was the dominant religion of Christianity for the Scotch-Irish. The first preacher that came there was a frontier Presbyterian preacher, and when he preached, he had a musket beside him and a powder
just in case.
Yeah, just in case the Indians got a little bit restless during the sermon. But he preached there in, I believe it was 1786, and that's considered the establishment date for Eusebia Church. And he named that area Eusebia in this sermon that he first preached there, and again in 1786. And he told the congregation, the people that were assembled there, that it was Eusebia was a Greek word that meant reverence toward God, which I've done a lot of research last night on the internet, and the more I looked, the more interesting it got. He left that area and supposedly wanted to preach and convert Indians, and so the first really full-time pastor they had was a guy named Glendon Blackburn. And he was the first full-time pastor there, and I think he came on board in 1794. And he went into great preparation for his sermons, and the average length of his sermon was supposed to have been 2 hours, and he preached one time for 3.5 hours. And that site where that pull that church back up one more time, Philip, if you don't mind.
You know, Pat, the restaurants would have been closed after that, wouldn't they?
That would have shut them down. They would have somebody would have lobbied for them to cut it off maybe a little bit. But on that site was a log church originally, and then over time they built 2 frame churches, and the present church, all of this was on the same location. It was started in 1930 and completed in 1936, and that would have been, of course, right at the height of the Depression. That was an industrious congregation that would have been able to build that church, because it is a really, really pretty brick church that, again, would have been in a very rural area during the height of the Depression.
Before Tennessee became a state.
That's right. No, it would have been after that.
1796 is when Tennessee.
Oh yeah. When it was first established, it was before it was a state. In fact, I think it was part of the old state of Franklin. Mm-hmm. There is a cemetery that starts just behind me when I was taking that picture, that's got hundreds of markers. Some of them are so old that the weather has worn the writing completely off, but they won't take in respect to the deceased, they have not taken any of those markers out. The first burial there, though, was in 1790, so it is a really old cemetery. One of my trips, I stopped to go meandering through the cemetery, and I came to a stone of go ahead and pull it up now. That's Andrew C. Hafley, Hafley, and he was born in 1838 and died in 1907. And right below his date there, it says that he was from Company A, 3rd Tennessee Cavalry. Well, I assumed that was, since it's Tennessee Cavalry, that I mistakenly thought he was fought the Confederate side, but most of the rural upper East Tennessee remained loyal to the Union. That was a Union cavalry. And below that is one of my favorite verses where he's quote, or the scripture says, "Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints," and that's right below this the donation of the Civil War service that he had. I looked that company up. Company A of the 3rd Regiment was all made up of Union Unionist people from Knox County and Blount County, and this cemetery is in what now is Blount County. And that cavalry, for most of the war, they were assigned to guard railroads in both Middle Tennessee and North Georgia and North Alabama, which once it became in Union control, the Confederates would try to come up there and tear the railroad up and disrupt supply movements and so forth. And Nathan Bedford Forrest, who was born in Chapel Hill, John, you're well aware of him, he was trying to stop him. He was trying to tear the roads up, or the railroads up, and of course these people were trying to stop him. They've served Company A, or the 3rd Regiment Tennessee Cavalry, served at Stones River, and their next major assignment was in the Tullahoma campaign, which lasted June 23rd to July 7th, and they were also involved in the last battle, basically in Middle Tennessee, which is the Battle of Nashville. And at one time, that regiment had about 1,600 men. And final records show they lost 546 people. 10 of them, 2 officers and 8 enlisted men, were killed in battle, and all the rest, 536, died of disease. Which that's pretty incredible that they had that much contagious disease that it almost wiped them out. Now, another interesting part of this is that when I said that they guarding railroads in Middle Tennessee and North Alabama, they were in Athens, Alabama one time, near a railroad trestle, and guess who attacked this Union cavalry? Nathan Bedford Forrest, and he captured a large group of them. And they were in prisoner of war camp for about a little over a year, I believe. And at the end of the war, the Confederacy gave up these prisoners before the actual terms of peace were finally settled out. And they moved them to Memphis. And they put a lot of them there on a boat, and they were a steamer, and they were going to take them up north to let them go free. Mm-hmm. And the greatest maritime tragedy of American history was this boat called, the name of the boat was the Sultana, and it had capacity of 376 men, and they put 2,155, most of them were Union soldiers, on that boat to go north. And this was in the spring, I believe, and had a lot of flood waters, and so the Mississippi course flows south, and this boat's needing to go north in fast waters, way overloaded, supposed to carry 376 and had over 2,100, and they had 4 boilers for the steamship, and 3 of them exploded 7 miles north of Memphis, and great loss of life. Something like 1,196 of them died, and I think this event would have had more publicity and more notation in history if it wasn't for the fact that that happened the day after Lincoln was assassinated. So much of the national media was concentrated on that assassination instead of all that loss of life. But 260 people that would have served with this Hafley gentleman were drowned or killed during the explosion itself. And I can't find out whether Hafley was he captured at Athens, or he was, not all the whole group, of course, was captured, but he lived to 1907. So
good history lesson, Pat.
The more I looked at it, the more interesting I got, and I can promise, John, I can promise you and our viewership that won't be the last time I stop by the Eusebia Presbyterian Church and Cemetery. It is a wealth of history in that.
Pat, thank you so much.
And John, I talked to you yesterday on the phone too. We're now that we have found by accident a Union soldier, we'll come back with a segment that I have found in the past of a Moore County burial of a Confederate cavalryman, and we'll bring that up at a later time and let people get ready for that. And so that, and we appreciate management letting us go a little bit over time today. And that concludes segment 53.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for
tuning in.
For bearing with me, too. Thank y'all.
Making history about this and that. It's Conversations with John and Pat. With John and Pat. With John and Pat.
Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the paint. Uh-oh. I just knocked a tree over. Here's the paint doctor. I got the color wheel. Now, you know what a color wheel is? It is the wheel at the paint works where you pick all your colors to paint your room. It could be a multicolored beard. It could be a underarm fan. You never can tell. One thing we do know is that it's time to paint. You know, you can make your wife very happy if you go to your house and paint some rooms, or you paint the outside of the house, the inside of the house. It makes them feel very good because you work hard for them and they like that. All women like to see their man sweat, you know? They do. Honeydew is what they do. And you get to do it too. So you go to the paint works at 1960 North Washington Street and you see David Heikkinen over there, and he's the real paint doctor. He fix you up with color. It's so nice when the color is right. Go to Paintworks today. Martin Senor. See? Martin Senor. Right there. Martin Senor at the Paintworks. Bye, and we see you next time. I'm burning up.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, look at that good-looking Tullahoma T-shirt right behind me. Tullahoma, H-O-M-E, Tullahoma, where I call home. Go to Couches downtown Tullahoma and pick one of those up. I'm a writer, you know that. I was sitting in my kitchen the other morning and decided, I need to write something about the kitchen. So I wrote The Kitchen. Hope you enjoy it. I like the kitchen. There are many ways to evaluate this area of the house, but I like the kitchen. I guess it's because I'm a creative, and many creative things happen in the kitchen. When I was a kid, I had a bird named Petey. In the mornings, Mom would open the door to his cage in the kitchen, and he would fly down the hall into my bedroom. He would land on my head and peck on it until I woke up and followed him back down the hall to the kitchen. I crawled up on a bar stool and surveyed the stovetop to see what was making the smell that pulled me through the door. Mom was a great cook, so the taste almost always lived up to the smell. Be it bacon and eggs, pancakes, oatmeal with brown sugar and raisins, or French toast, which seemed a bit weird to me, it was all good. My favorite, though, was biscuit with sausage gravy. A wonderful way to start the day. The best thing about the kitchen was that Mom was in it. From dawn's first light until night's last snack, Mom or her presence was there. When you opened the fridge in the middle of the night to find crustless cucumber and cream cheese sandwiches, you could feel her presence in the darkness behind you. Then you put back the 4 in your hand on the cut glass plate, snuck 1 or 2, and rearranged the tray so the glove-handed card-playing ladies wouldn't know the difference. But Mom did. I found out years later that she made extra for my brother and me, but wanted us to think we'd pulled one over on her. She was kind of cool that way. She always had our happiness on the front burner, no matter which room she was in. As I said, Mom was a great cook. She was raised on a farm as a farm girl from Dixon County in Tennessee and knew how to cook Tennessee country. My dad grew up on a farm in South Louisiana. When they got married, Granny Gray taught Mom how to cook Cajun country, so I had the best of both worlds in the kitchen. Straight from New Orleans and Nashville to Druid Lane and Hood Drive, the food and music was always outstanding in our kitchen. It was always about the flavor. Food at other kids' houses just tasted kind of bland. Mom's stuff had flavor. A pizzazz that allowed you to experience the nuances of different spices used to create something other than just plain food. Mom knew flavor like a song that allowed your taste buds to dance with joy. Mom was a great cook. If I got up early enough, Dad would be in the kitchen at the blender. Dress pants and shoes, sleeveless U-neck t-shirt with a cigarette in his teeth, he'd mix up his morning drink. 3 raw eggs, some milk, sugar and vanilla flavoring, blended up, choked down. A puff of smoke, coffee gulped, shirt and jacket and tie on, and off to work at the base. Dad wasn't much for talking in the morning. Like most military men, if you weren't 15 minutes early to work, you were late. But Dad's afternoons in the kitchen, they were much more laid back. 5 o'clock in the kitchen meant martini time. Adulthood in the 50s and 60s involved a bunch of smoking and drinking. He would come through the back door, take off his jacket, loosen the tie, then crank up the blender or shaker for a working man's afternoon libation, martinis. Often 1 or 2 of his buds would stop by for a cold one and some conversation on the way home. At that point, the kitchen was transformed into a manly place to learn how the old boys played the game. The kitchen was in the middle of the front of the house, overlooking the front porch and circular drive. The kitchen window was a wonderful observation post for the daily battles of the company gray of Hood Drive. But back to cooking. Other than running a mean blender, Dad's culinary skills revolved around being able to grill with the best. Why? He made a wicked good sauce, and grilling is always about the sauce. You can turn a round steak into a prime rib or a pork belly into a tenderloin with the right sauce. The grilling was done outside, but the sauce was a product of the kitchen. Dad taught me how to grill. Mom taught me how to cook. Whenever I was around, I watched her. I learned the times, temperatures, spices, and condiments needed to develop flavor in damn near anything. How much neutral, milk, water, flour, etc., you can add to fix a screw up. With all that said and done, the most important thing is, if it is still cooking and not on the plate, you can never stir too much. Always tend your pot and pan with a spoon or fork in hand. Stir to thin or to make thick, and you'll be the one that gets the first lick. So while learning how to cook, stir, 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 until, through experience, you learn when to stop. It's the same thing with spices. There is no exact measurement or combination. Throw them in until it tastes bad. Then don't do that again. Great cooking is an experiment with a little good direction to start with. That's what makes it so much fun for those with creative spirit. There is always another flavor in the palate in your hand that delights or disgusts one's palate in their mouth, because they are all different, just like our taste are. A plate or bowl is just another canvas that is painted on and painted over until a master creates a masterpiece. Yes, friends, cooking is art, culinary art, and art never stops expanding its boundaries. That is why you'll find me in the kitchen, expanding my skills and forecasting flavors yet to come. Yes, it's true. I like the kitchen. We'll be back after these messages.
Hello, I'm Ray Noyes. This is a critical time in Tullahoma. On August the 6th, voters will have an opportunity to elect a new mayor, one who can provide proven, experienced leadership, one who knows how to get things done and keep Tullahoma moving. I recognize the value of Tullahoma's excellent school system. Our system is recognized as one of the best in the state, and I'll ensure that our schools continue at that level. I will not vote to raise property taxes in order to have a balanced budget until all other options have been exhausted. I'll work closely with our city staff to ensure that my fiscally conservative values are incorporated. I've served on all city boards involved in economic development. And I see that as a way that we can broaden our tax base and avoid a property tax rate increase. Some developers have had issues with our planning and codes department. I'll commit to these improvements. There'll be consistency in the instructions from planning and codes without changes from day to day. And there'll be predictable timelines for providing delivery dates for plan reviews, permits, and inspections. Timelines that will be met reliably. Now, while we can't do much about the traffic on 41A and 55, we can improve our local streets and sidewalks. And this I commit to do. So I ask for your vote for proven, experienced leadership.
My wife Jackie has always been the life of the party, but things changed when she couldn't be as active anymore.
They told me I needed a double knee replacement.
It's not as big a deal as it used to be, but she still needed to go to rehab.
I was amazed at how good the therapists were at Life Care. They took really good care of me.
They took excellent care of her, and now she's back doing the things she loves, and that makes everyone happy.
Life Care Center of Tullahoma wants you to get active and live well.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Welcome back. You're going to be so glad you hung around. I have with me a songwriter that auditioned for the country show, and I instantly decided he was my new best friend.
Well,
anyway,
thank you.
This is Randy Fincham.
Howdy.
Randy, where are you actually living right now?
Well, yeah, I'd like to say I got dual citizenship of Nashville and Coffee County.
Okay.
I've lived in, half my life in one place, half my life in another place. So, born in Nashville, raised in Coffee County, graduated Central High School, went back to Nashville, just back.
So back and forth.
Back and forth, it's an hour away, and so I do a lot in both cities.
Well, there's a million things we could talk about because you're very talented, and I want to know when you started songwriting.
Not till, I'm not one of those child prodigies that started at 5. I wish I would have, but I actually, 17 years old. And that's when I finally picked up a guitar, because that's when I realized that I was not going to be a professional baseball player.
Oh, okay.
And that I was going to be 5'9" forever, and then if I wanted to
you weren't getting any taller.
I wasn't getting any taller. I stopped growing. I wasn't going to be into sports, so I got into music, and the rest is history.
I think you did good. Do you teach yourself to play, or did you have lessons?
I took lessons for a little while. Then I had the how to play electric guitar tape. I remember it where I had the tape and the accompanying book, and learned the power chords.
Right.
But after that was just picking it up from people over the years,
It's amazing what you can do when you have a good ear. I think that helps.
Yes, ma'am.
So you can stay in tune. But when did you write your first song?
17. Yeah.
Oh, you actually wrote the song when you picked up the guitar almost.
Well, yeah, it was maybe about a year after that, maybe around closer to 18. It was about my dog. So if at that age, you love girls and you love your dog. So
you love your dog.
Yeah, so it was about my dog.
When you lose your girl and your dog dies, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and you got the country song that you can write right there.
I know it. That's a country song right there.
Yes. Yeah.
I want to make sure we have time for you to do a couple of songs. So what would you like to do first?
Well, you know what? Being from Coffee County and our 100-year history here, and at least that's what the legal jail records go back 100 years. That verifies that Finchem's have been around. I'm only half joking there. But I'm going to do a song about my family, and it's about my grandma. My grandma's she's buried not far from here down in Tullahoma. And when I was about 10 years old, Mom and Dad dropped me off to stay with Grandma. And as soon as they walk out the door, Grandma reaches under the couch and pulls out the biggest dang bottle of whiskey I'd ever seen. Took a big swig. This is my sweet little Grandma. I didn't think she did that. I held on to that image for years until I got with Miss Cynthia Limbaugh Torres, and Cynthia wrote in Lonesome Dove for Garth Brooks. So I ran this idea by her, and she started singing this hook to this song. So we wrote this one. It's about Grandma. She was a hard-working mama on my daddy's side, left by the war with her own little tribe. My daddy was the third oldest in line, with 6 kids, she didn't have time to cry. She had calloused hands and a tender heart, worked in a factory from dawn to dark. When you're 3 to a bed in a trailer park, small town gossip can be so harsh. I was 10 the first time I found that bottle. Grandma been practicing the Lynchburg gospel. They say she raised her kids on her own, but Grandma had a boyfriend all alone. Jack Daniels lived there in that home. Grandma and Jack raised those kids. Now I understand why she did what she did. Underneath the sofa, that's where it was hid. Grandma and Jack raised those kids. She always put her babies before the booze, just a little liquid courage to see her through. Oh, how I love to smell her come into the room, 'cause old number 7 was her perfume. I was 10 the first time I found that bottle. Grandma been practicing the Lynchburg gospel. They say she raised her kids on her own, but Grandma had a boyfriend all alone. Jack Daniels lived there in that home. Grandma and Jack raised those kids. Now I understand why she did what she did. Underneath the sofa, that's where it was hid. Grandma and Jack raised those kids. Grandma, thank you for being tough. God knows it was hard, but you did it all with love. Grandma and Jack raised those kids. Now I understand why she did what she did. Underneath the sofa, that's where it was hid. Grandma and Jack raised those kids. Yeah, they raised those kids. What a job they did when they raised those kids. I guess this makes Jack Daniels my grandpa, right? Yeah. Grandma and Jack raised those kids.
Love it.
Thank you.
That was fabulous.
Thank you. You ought to have been around when I played that at my first Thanksgiving that I played that at. It was an odd experience.
I bet it was. I bet it was.
Now, the family loves it, seriously.
And did your grandma get to hear it?
No.
Was she
Grandma
dead
passed
already?
in 99, you know,
Oh.
and we had to say goodbye to her then. But, you know, usually when I'm introducing that song, it hit me 30 years after the fact of seeing her drink that Grandma was raising kids by herself. And she held it together. She held it together. She raised a lot of good, my dad, my aunts, my uncles. She did it with a lot of love, and she raised a lot of excellent human beings.
Yes, she
and
did.
she had a little help from it. So.
She had a little help with Jack.
Yes, ma'am.
That's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
You want to do another one?
I sure do. You know what? I guess I will do this one because this is one of those that I've. Well, for one, you know, it's capo on the third fret, capo and fret here. So, yeah, might as well stay in the vein here. My dad was a native Tullahomian,
okay.
and he went to school in Nashville. And you know, I didn't know this till later on, but he had an opportunity to go to, was it Peabody College, which is part of Vanderbilt now, and on a scholarship. But Dad passed that up. He wanted to join the Army, serve his country, and then have a family. He already knew what he wanted to do, and it wasn't to have a spotlight of any kind. And it was awesome that was indicative of his character, of the man I knew. So another thing, years later, you mentioned Georgia when we were talking back here. You're from Georgia. Larry Scroggs, the co-writer of this, Larry Scroggs Band, he's from Georgia.
Oh,
and him and I wrote this, and the whole, it's a combination of our families. Of the courage of our families. So
wonderful.
This is kind of based on my dad, kind of based on people in Larry's family. It's called Rednecks, Red Letters, and the Red, White, and Blue. And I've fallen in love with this song all over again. Papa worked his whole life, could barely read. But he made sure his family had all they need. Lived by the good book, I love Grandma too. He'd say, don't you tread on me, and I won't tread on you. Rednecks, red letters, and red, white, and blue. You never find anything more true. They've been here all along, and they'll be here when we're gone. Rednecks, red letters, and red, white, and blue. Two hometown boys who had a plan. Their only ticket out of town was Uncle Sam. One lost his life in Afghanistan. The other made it back. Now he's our preacher man. Rednecks, red letters, red, white, and blue. You never find anything more true. They've been here all along, and they'll be here when we're gone. Rednecks, red letters, red, white, and blue.
Sunday morning, raise my hand, feel the beat of the heartland. Everything around me is what I am. Fresh tomatoes on the vine, clothes hanging out on the line. Mama's homemade apple pie. It's fishing holes and saving souls. Family garden country is all we know. Rednecks, red letters, red, white, and blue. You never find anything more true. They've been here all along, and they'll be here when we're gone. Rednecks, red letters, and red, white, and blue. Rednecks, red letters, and the red, white, and blue. Rednecks, red letters, and the red, white, and blue. Rednecks, red letters, and the red, white, and blue.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. Thank you all very
Randy
much. Thank you.
Fincham, ladies and gentlemen. Look
Thank
for
you.
him on our country show coming up in August. We got to have you back. I've got to say goodbye at this moment. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Fabulous
baby.
job.
Thank you so much.
We'll be back with.
I gotta strike this tip.
Smoking tobacco accounts for 3 of every 10 fire deaths in the United States.
Tullahoma Fire Department. Need you en route to a structure fire, 202 Main Street. Heavy smoke showing. Neighbors advise child trapped inside.
Lighters, matches, and associated smoking paraphernalia are the leading cause of preschooler fire deaths. We as firefighters know that most structure fires can be prevented.
I've got one! Command, this is primary search. We have a victim. Need EMS to meet us at the front door.
Please help us to give you a fighting chance. This can be prevented. Contact the Tullahoma Fire Department for a free home safety inspection.
What's a Tennessee vacation? It starts off like any road trip, and then, boom, adventure and thrills everywhere you look, which happens to be some of the most beautiful scenery in the country. Music here, history there, and all kinds of green in between. Come relax and unwind, or bring the crowd for some stargazing, or stargazing. Whatever you do, come hungry and expect an awesome soundtrack. It's all right here in Tennessee. We're playing your song. For a free vacation guide, visit tnvacation.com.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, Peg, we're back, and how incredible was he?
I thought he was fabulous. When I saw him audition, you know, my eyes opened wide because he had real stories in his singing.
Well,
and,
he's a real guy.
He's a real writer, and
Yeah.
I love that.
You know, and what's sad is that's what songwriting was. It's a shame that in a lot of situations that's not a viable type of story anymore, radio style. Of course, there's Americana channels that are popping up everywhere. There's a whole lot of folks out there like us that want to still hear those stories.
Garth Brooks is, he is a storyteller. That's
Right.
Not every popular singer is a storyteller.
No.
They have to get from someone else. And John Prine, that just died.
Well, John
Wow.
Prine was a
Genius.
national treasure. He was a poet that used some music with his poetry.
He was amazing. We're going to honor all those people.
That's great.
On the
That's
show
great.
this year.
The country show coming up in
Especially
August.
those that we've lost.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, a lot of people didn't understand how fantastic John Prine was until he died.
Right.
And all of a sudden, the radio was full of John Prine stuff, and people are going, "Oh my gosh!
I didn't know he wrote
I didn't
that.
know this
Yeah.
guy. Why didn't I know this guy?"
It's true.
Bob Dylan, same way. You know, a lot of people
it's true of a
don't
lot
know
of people
Dylan.
that have wonderful talent that they don't ever get recognized for that. You know.
You know, and Prine
It's
got recognized, and he had some stuff, but he wasn't a mega star except to people who really understood him.
Right.
You know, and a lot of people just didn't even know about him.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't listen to words.
No.
And that's
Young people, particularly.
For storytelling, you have
young
to,
people.
You have to listen to the words. Yeah, it's anyway.
Give me a primal beat and 4 words I can understand. That's all I need.
There you go.
That's not all we need. We need the story. The story, the beauty of life is about the stories that life tells. And you always remember, write your stories. Buy yourself a pad and a pencil or a pen and chronicle things.
And write it down, yeah.
Write it down. You'd be surprised how much fun it is to put words down on a piece of paper.
My grandmother, everything was in poetry, and when I was first left home for a long trip, like Philippine Islands, to live there for 4 years, I would get letters from my grandmother, and one of the letters I loved the most, she was very conservative, so she wrote on anything that was laying around the house. She happened to have a brown paper bag, so she tore it open and she wrote me a letter, and it just went on and on and on. Never was a period or a comma or anything.
No.
And I thought, well, what's wrong with her? Didn't she know where to put an end of sentence? Well, at the bottom, when she said, "Love you, your grandma," Mama Lewis was what we call her, and then she said, "Oh, by the way, punctuate at your leisure. You have way more time than I do."
I love it. I love it. You know, when I was in
Yeah.
basic training, I wrote my mother and dad the Chronicles of G.I. Johnny.
Oh, cool.
And I did it all I drew a map of an old style world map
Yeah.
with dragons in the ocean and,
Oh my gosh.
ships with sails.
Yeah.
And I would take G.I. Johnny from one location to the next.
That's cute.
And I really
You
enjoyed. Well, I had a lot of time.
Are any of those letters around?
I don't know.
It's too bad you don't still have
I
them.
wish I had copies of them, the artwork particularly. But hey, guess what? We're going to close the show out. We've enjoyed being with you today. Hope you've enjoyed us. Remember, be kind, be safe.
Honor your father.
Honor your father. Love is the answer. We'll see you next time.